Okay, let's see. A new backdrop. We've got the logo. Check. Kirby Crackle. Check. We've got the speed lines to a disappearing point. Always good for tension. Check. Bubbles. Check. Well, looks like things are ready to go here. I'm going to go get changed to start the show. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Comic Book Issues, the only show that goes in deep and asks the hard questions. A show so intense it will leave you sweating. Oh, damn it! Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, for some reason my new background is transformed into an obvious and tasteless phallic design. I'm not sure why they did that. I thought the first background was Dead Butch. And now I'm reviewing this comic with this background, and the comic's all about this guy with a gun attached to his arm and has a dominant, submissive relationship with his second-in-command. I get it. Okay, yeah, I get it. Enjoy the show. Change it back! Oh, but hold on to it in case we ever do that Masters of the Universe review. Welcome back to Comic Book Issues. I'm your host, Brian Heinz. Now, I've been off the air for a while because I've been working on my other show, You Know Who, and I had to take some time off to get my third DVD ready, but you're probably not interested in that. Anyway, we're going to make some changes to the show starting now. I'm officially dropping the Last Angry Geek name, although that will still be my YouTube channel's name, and it's all over my merchandise. We've also got a cool new background with the name I'm no longer officially using. Damn it, why do I always make huge life changes after establishing branding? Anyway, today's review is one of those flashbacks that gives us the origin for one of our favorite characters. Who doesn't love a prequel? Well, besides everyone in Star Wars, although they also don't particularly like the sequels, and they've got complicated feelings towards the original films. Yeah, but I digress. Today we're going to review Megatron Origins issues 1 through 4 from IDW. We open on a space station. The Transformers of planet Cybertron use this station as an energon mine on the planet below. One of the elite Autobot rulers, Senator Decimus, has business on the station but looks down on the workers. The senator announces the miners are fired. Upset at the idea of losing their jobs to automation, which frankly seems a bit hypocritical, the mob becomes unruly. The Senate already takes all the energon, leaving them with barely enough to survive. When the crowd surges, a miner is pushed into the senator's entourage. The senator's guards beat him down until an energy pickaxe flies through the air, hitting the senator. The guards are toppled over by a large miner. We'll call him Megatron. He tackles a guard and snaps, beating the guard to death and inciting a full riot. Coming out of his rage, Megatron is in shock at what he's done. The guards open fire, and several Transformers are destroyed, the rest pacified. As he passes in and out of consciousness, Megatron hears the guards blame him for what has happened, the imprisonment and or destruction of his fellow miners. Coming to on a penal ship, two smaller robots, Frenzy and Rumble, ask him to help them escape. I remember the time I accidentally killed a man and then regained consciousness on a prison boat, only for two dwarfs to enlist my aid in their escape. In every boy's life, there's the summer of '83. They distract a guard long enough for Megatron to take that guard out. They take control of this prison ship, which for some reason is armed, and in turn disable the Senator's transport. Returning to the Cybertron city of Kaon, the bad neighborhood, Megatron explains that he left the Senator and his friends alive so that Cybertron would focus all their initial attention on rescuing him rather than hunting down his killers. Sentinel Prime, the Autobot in charge of policing Cybertron, receives a report on the mine incident from Prowl. However, he's not too interested until he hears it involves a member of the Senate. Deep in Cybertron, Megatron is fighting against a GoBot lookalike. He has a chance to finish him off, but freezes. PTSD from killing that security guard flares up. Hi, I'm Dr. Brian, recognized leader in the field of robopsychology. A field so new, I'm the only one practicing it. And I got my PhD off the internet, by which I mean I found a blank diploma and started filling things. Okay, look, this isn't about what credentials I may or may not have. Mental health in robots can be a tricky, at the best of times, situation. If you're not attracted to your neighbor's Prius, then you're dealing with being the Gestalt personality created when 5 or more robots combine, and even then you're only showing up at the end of the show for the climax of the final battle, and you're still attracted to the neighbor's Prius. I've discovered a revolutionary way to keep robots mentally healthy. Turn them off. It's just that easy. You turn them off, then you delete the memories that are making them nuts. It's just that easy. Say, who's the new girl? The crowd calls for blood, and finally Megatron obliges them. One of Cybertron's senators, Ratbat, ignores an underling's need for paperwork. He's got more important things to do, like presumably filing a change of name form. Ratbat's meeting is primarily him going across the news for various unethical investment opportunities, until he stumbles upon a news report about the underground death matches. Megatron continues to arise in the death match, even sacrificing team members in group combat to maintain an edge and killing his own leader to become the new team captain. Prowl has been tracking Megatron and knows someone is getting rich off the marketing of these fights. What kind of unethical monster would market subpar DVDs for a fast buck, but at the cost of his reputation? Oh, the humanity. Sentinel Prime is taking this seriously. He's got multiple venues staked out, and when the fights begin, he'll swoop in with his response team to arrest the fighters, and Megatron will eventually be executed. At one of the stakeout sites, a team of 6 construction robots begin building a new arena. They even melt down vagrant robots on site for building materials. Megatron and his cronies from the ship arrive. A mysterious voice offers him weapons and the ability to upgrade himself. His name is Soundwave, and Megatron can use this tech however he sees fit. The security team panics and calls for Sentinel Prime to move in, but they're taken out by Soundwave's menagerie. The guard wakes up to see that his partner has been killed. His fate if he doesn't answer Megatron's questions. He mouths off to Megatron, but Soundwave's bird hypnotizes the little guy, and they learn of the dragnet set up to capture Megatron and the other fighters. They abandon this arena, even as Megatron agrees to work with Soundwave's boss after a meeting. He then turns his attention on the little yellow bot. It doesn't go well for him. Later on, Soundwave goes to see Megatron, but is warned that he's in a bad mood, having lost an arm in the fights. From his repair station, he asks what Soundwave wants. Soundwave has brought Megatron the fighter he wanted. In fact, he's brought 3. Hard Rock, Coco, and Joe. A.k.a. Starscream, Thundercracker, and Ramjet. Starscream immediately grovels. He's honored to fight by Megatron in the arena. No, Megatron has another purpose for the jets. Meanwhile, Sentinel Prime leads his security team in eulogizing the 2 Megatron murdered. He promises that now Megatron has their undivided attention. Senator Decimus is back getting a statue in his honor when the jet transformers attack. Decimus is kidnapped, and the Autobot symbol is now covered by Megatron's news symbol. Megatron calls for more warriors, and they begin to arrive in the hundreds. Starscream reports that his task is done, but he's not sure why they did it. Megatron plays it coy as he rallies the future Decepticons. All warriors from the forgotten, neglected Cybertronian colonies. What if they unite under one symbol and take on their oppressors? They drag Decimus out and he's turned over to the masses. But before anything can happen, Sentinel Prime's security team gasses the arena to obscure vision and move in to make arrests. Megatron tries to kill the senator but is tackled and arrested. The cells are now over capacity as Starscream demands Megatron fill him in on his plans. Even as Soundwave is set free by senatorial order. Moments later, Starscream demands to talk to a guard. When Megatron sees this, he orders Starscream dead, but the guards get him out and take him to the Senate. Megatron reveals that Starscream knows everything. Ah, gee, boss! Does he know where the bodies are buried? He knows everything. Does he know the egg salad recipe? He knows everything. Well, does he know who wrote the Book of Love? He knows everything! Oh, damn good. Starscream is hauled before the Senate, but is sarcastic and rude, much like a Trump cabinet member. Their actions created the Decepticons. All Megatron did was organize them. As Starscream is ordered returned to the prisons, he's suddenly free and armed thanks to Soundwave's timely interference. They kill the senators, and then go about freeing every prisoner in the place on Megatron's command. As they begin arming themselves, Starscream noticed that during his gladiator fights, Megatron always led with his right. It was a bit of a weakness, so why not make that a strength? He presents Megatron with a large cannon to make any fight go his way. As a riot spills across Kaon, Decepticons shoot down a Cybertronian shuttle, crashing it into a building that I assume is Autobot headquarters. The Autobots turn to Sentinel Prime for leadership. He bypasses the Council and enters the Apex facilities, shooting anyone who gets in his way. Soundwave returns to Senator Ratbat to find that he's killed several Autobots who objected to his stealing money and data before leaving Kaon. Ratbat wants to know why Soundwave has been so hard to reach lately. Turns out Ratbat was behind the initial riot in Megatron's minds, knowing that fermenting a revolt would lead to wartime profits for the unscrupulous politician. Except now, Soundwave is a true believer in Megatron. He shoots his boss and steals his money to finance the Decepticon revolution. Megatron's forces are suddenly pushed back when a fully armored and armed Sentinel Prime arrives. With the scout guiding him, Prime calls for the Autobots to rally on him and break the Decepticon line. But his scout is suddenly silent until Megatron drops the scout's lifeless body on him. He intends to make Sentinel Prime suffer, as he's suffered on this journey. They tussle, and though Megatron has the upper hand, Prime nearly tosses him down an open crater. Sentinel Prime is disgusted by Megatron's treachery, but Megatron grabs his leg and they both fall down the pit. Others will come, claims a defiant Prime. No, not after they see what Megatron does to him. He then pummels the Autobot leader in front of his minions. The Autobots eventually break through and find a dead Sentinel Prime, although I learned that was later retconned. Reluctantly, Prowl realizes the Decepticons now control Kaon, and they pull out of the city. Surveying his domain, Megatron is questioned by Soundwave. What's next? Megatron has a few ideas about that. So, that's Megatron Origins, a book that decidedly does not give an origin to Megatron. It's more like his early adventures. Doesn't even explain why he becomes a handgun eventually. That's all I wanted to know! Anyway, let's take a closer look at Megatron Origins. Well, first of all, this is not Megatron's origin story. It's the Decepticons' origin story. The story of how Megatron rallied his troops around him and formed a faction that would challenge the Autobots for control of Cybertron. We see how they all meet, what forces brought them together, and their initial clashes with the Autobots. What we don't see is where Megatron came from, who he was before that fateful day in the mines when he got caught in the riot, what kind of man he was before he became a killer in the death matches. We don't even know his thoughts on the Autobots before the riot. We get him at the exact moment he kills and watch him become a remorseless killer and finally an amoral leader. Megatron is widely recognized as one of the all-time great villains, but when someone is held up to that high level of regard, it can be tricky finding the right origin for him. We never really get that origin, more of an early adventure, and we don't get inside his head to see why he's doing the things he's doing. We're just along for the ride as a bunch of stuff happens to him and he reacts. As for the differences between the Autobots and the emerging Decepticons, we never really explore any class differences between them outside of those initial riots. Hearing Decimus speak ill of the lower class, them protesting that the elite get all the energon and they're starved, it's all quickly pushed aside. As for the rest of the cast, aside from some initial bootlicking by Starscream, we never really get into their heads either. We don't know why Soundwave turns on Ratbat in favor of Megatron. We never get why Sentinel Prime takes the Decepticons so lightly until they become too big to be stopped. There's also a lot of things being set up that never pay off, like that Ratbat meeting with Megatron. They never feel each other out, thus Soundwave's eventual betrayal is again something of a surprise. On the art end of things, the Cybertrons all being drawn and indeed colored in a generic way makes it very hard to tell what was happening at any given time. Like this robot? He was small and yellow, so at first I thought he might be Bumblebee, but he's killed, and we definitely see Bee later. And then there are the action scenes. When the Jets kidnap Decimus, at first I thought they'd killed him, leaving the body behind. There's nothing on that page but a generic mass. I wasn't sure whether he was dead or kidnapped until he showed up later. Visually, this book is just confusing, and it's a flaw of the artist that he doesn't make it clear what's happening in the story, but again, that's not entirely his fault. You see, a big part of the problem was the lack of narration and or captioning, which would have helped immensely whenever I was confused as to who this character was or what they were doing. Something that happened at least several times in each issue. The story didn't deliver what it promised, nor was it that entertaining. It was full of one-dimensional characters and visually confusing storytelling. I give Megatron Origins 1 star out of 5. Funny story, my best friend told me this once. When he went on vacation, he took his Megatron figure with him, but he forgot to transform it into robot mode, so he left it in his luggage as a gun. You can imagine the fun they had when that went through the X-ray at the airport. Anyway, hoping you're not a robot in disguise, but a fan, plain and simple. I'll see you next time here on Comic Book Issues. I'm your host, Brian Heinz.